I can see the number of attendees slowly climbing, so I'm going to try and buy a little bit of time by starting on time, but not actually starting. So welcome everyone. It is fantastic to have you here. Today we're going to be talking through the key selling points and demoing new functionality across Totara Learn 13. I can see that attendees number creeping up, so I'll move slowly on to the next slide. So today I am joined by the amazing Iris Vermeeren. Iris, hello.
Hi, hello. Hi, Meredith. Hi, everyone. Thank you.
Iris is going to be there to keep me on time. She's going to be keeping an eye on the chat, and she's going to be keeping an eye on the QA section of Zoom, so the QA functionality. So today's session will be predominantly a slide driven presentation, but occasionally I'll be jumping over to my live site if I need to showcase something, or if there's any specific question that a live site speaks 1,000 of words. Questions are welcome throughout the session. I'll, depending on how we get on in terms of time, because we've got quite a bit to get through today, I may take some stop points and ask questions. Otherwise answer questions, otherwise we'll look at them at the end. As I say, Iris is going to be there on the chat, and when I'm referencing areas, she's going to be tested on her link posting foo, so she's going to be the fastest URL poster right in there in that chat. So if there is something you need to link to, I refer to something, then have a look in the chat. There'll be a link in there, or ask Iris to post you something in there. And the session will be recorded, and both the recording and the slides shared with partners. And that will be through the partner community. The slides will be available in the Alliance Partner Marketing folder. Now, if we don't get through everything today, I'd like it to be around sort of 30, 40 minutes max, because I'm sure you don't want to hear me talk for much longer than that. If we don't get through everything, we'll be available in the forums to answer any questions that you might have, and any questions that we don't get through in the Q&A, then I'll post responses to within the forums. So we see we've got, yeah, I think I bought enough time. We've got the pretty stable number on the attendees number. So today, as I said, we're going to be talking about the key selling points and how to demo the new functionality across Totara Learn. But I'll also be talking about some of the core functionality. So functionality that sits at that core services layer. So will impact things like Totara Perform and Totara Engage as well. And that will be things like the reporting functionality and the audiences functionality. So it's not specific to Learn, a bit of core in there, but primarily the focus is on Learn. So I want to start today with a risky move, which is playing a video in a presentation. This is only 2 minutes long, so if you've already seen this video, here is the gift of time. Otherwise, this is a fantastic production that the marketing team and the design team have put together, which just showcases a little bit about what is on Totara Learn, and this is available through our YouTube channel to watch and to share as you require.
In uncertain times, you need engaged and skilled employees to ensure your organization grows and remains competitive. Unfortunately, with most learning management systems, you have to make unnecessary compromises. You're forced to change your organization's workflows and processes to fit into a rigid, overpriced system you're locked into, a system that's not designed to meet your unique needs. You need to upskill your workforce on your own terms, with the power and flexibility to deliver transformational learning. Totara Learn is an adaptable and extendable learning management solution that's trusted by millions of learners worldwide. Totara Learn empowers you to deliver tailored learning solutions that adapt to your unique requirements. Learn on any device with more than 35 supported languages, automatically assign content by audiences and roles. Ensure compliance to improve safety and reduce business risks. Quickly build courses and certifications with a range of interactive options. Combine courses with instructor-led events and other content to deliver powerful blended learning. Build reports and dashboards that cater to multiple groups or customers from a single instance of your LMS. What's more, by combining Totara Learn, Totara Engage, and Totara Perform, You'll benefit from an integrated talent experience platform that empowers your people to align with your company goals and perform at their best. Visit totaralearning.com or contact your nearest Totara partner to upskill your workforce the way you want, with the power and flexibility to deliver transformational learning.
Alrighty. So part of the reason I wanted to show you that is because it's some great work from the Totara team, and partly because it's a great sales a resource for you, but it's also a very nice segue into a list of the other resources of what we're providing partners as part of this release. So we have a range of Academy courses available and more coming available, I wouldn't say every day, but as time elapses, and updates to some of the functionality are being incorporated into the beta releases. So we've got some updates, for example, to the multi-tenancy course, which we released earlier. So they're all going to be up to date, and there's going to be more coming. Of course, there's the version 13 help documentation. There is a link that Iris might be kind enough to post, but there's also available in the 13 page on the community if you haven't spotted that the help doc's available to partners now. And in particular there, something that might be of some use is the version comparison table. And that gives you a rundown of where you can see the differences between, in particular, version 12 and version 13. There is also the partner demo videos, so the videos that the product management team produced for the Q&A sessions that some of you have been attending. Those are going to be, can remain available to you up until the point that functionality is updated and they become no longer valid. So you can continue to watch those. And they are, once you get to feel for the products and get to use them yourselves, probably worth a rewatch with a little bit more context. We've also seen some big updates to our website, and the product pages for Totara Learn, Totara Engage and Totara Perform have all been updated, so you can refer to the sections there. And there've been a range of new marketing resources that we've made available and continue to update. There'll be some more coming soon. And of course, the RFP database, that's on me, and that's coming soon. Once these webinars are done, then I'll be looking at updating the RFP database with updated screenshots and material of the existing entries in the RFP database, as well as some additional. Actually, before I move on, Iris, is there anything I need to know here or anything in the chat?
No, nothing yet. I've just shared a bunch of links with everyone, but no, I'm looking forward to receiving all your questions.
Excellent. Thanks, Iris. Alrighty, so let's get started on the key features and selling points. And this is for both existing and new customers. So of course, the same features and benefits that you've been offering customers within version 12 still apply. So today's session will offer a focus on the new opportunities from the new and updated functionality across 13, rather than looking at Learn as an entire package. So you can see on screen there's lots of functionality available across 12, so we're adding to that. So I'm going to drill into each of the features that we see listed on screen in just a second, but this list here will give you an idea of what I'm going to be covering off today. So these items are all specific to Learn 13, noting that some of them are improvements to existing functionality versus new functionality. And again, some of these sections like the report builder and the audience rules and multi-tenancy are applicable across Engage and Perform because they sit at that core layer. So I'm going to go through each of these items and offer up some of the advantages and opportunities these features provide. Here's page 2. I couldn't squeeze all of the great features onto the one slide, so this is the second half. Alrighty, starting with enhanced multi-tenancy. So we now have additional and dedicated functionality to support extended enterprise solutions. So extending training and development beyond internal staff to include business partners and customers can improve customer service and engagement by increasing the awareness and knowledge of your products and services. It can also be a way to gain trust, extend customer support. And by creating a shared and collaborative learning space, your organization can help build and maintain successful ongoing relationships. So it's, like I say, a great way of building trust and extending product and service knowledge. And connecting even external and internal learners. So the multi-tenancy functionality across 13 offers or supports a range of new commercial opportunities or models. So things like large organizations that need to differentiate between teams or groups and who want their own user administration control. It can be a site that is servicing multiple organizations who perhaps are accessing both shared and some dedicated content, or a way to keep groups completely separated across a single isolation using the isolation mode functionality. In addition, the disseminated administration access across tenants can reduce site administrative workload and reduce the risk of site level config changes or mistakes that are frequently reported when you have a lot of site admins. So very much that too many cooks problem that you have when you've got a lot of high level site administrators making changes for their team or their group that don't apply or clash with the requirements of other users across the site. And of course, with the isolation mode, you can enforce that or have absolute separation of courses and users. And because it shuts down some site level functionality, you won't have them interacting at the site level either. So it's a good way of separating if you've got a use case where you want to keep people very much separate across the site. And with the ability to have tenant level themes and a really nice interface for tailoring the look and feel of the different tenant themes, you can apply a very much tailored and personalized look and feel to different groups. And it's a much faster way of applying that personalized experience than previously what you'd have to do was set user level themes. So it's a lot faster way of applying a different look and feel for different groups of users. Is there any questions on multi-tenancy there, Iris?
Yes, one question from Tyler Craig. Does multi-tenancy apply across all products now? Learn, engage, perform?
Hi, Taylor. I was going to say you'd be relieved to know that we're sharing the recording. It does. It applies in different ways. So it primarily manifested across Learn because of that course separation, but there is also multi-tenancy across Engage in terms of sharing resources. Dasha actually made a really great post in the product update forums a couple of weeks back, showcasing or rather describing how tenancy is applied across Engage. That's definitely worth checking out. And also across Perform in terms of who can see what. Yeah, so yes is the short answer, but primarily because of the course separation is manifested across Learn, but it sits at that core layer.
Great, thank you. That was it. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Alrighty, Totara Mobile. So having a mobile app strengthens the Totara offering to a number of sectors, particularly those where learners might not have access or regular access to a PC or a laptop at all times during the day as they're on the move, or maybe they're on the shop floor, but they still have quick learning requirements. So like I say, people in front of customers, maybe sales reps who want to learn about new products or need a quick refresh on specs before they go into a sales meeting, or even across medical where staff might need to be briefed on new medical processes and procedures. I mean, obviously at the moment things are changing daily, and this is a great way of pushing that information for users to connect to that quickly. Now, it also applies to organisations with staff working offline or with limited connectivity, such as folks working at sea, maybe on oil rigs, travelling with connection dropping frequently, so basically on a train or on a plane where they don't have connectivity necessarily, or maybe in isolated towns or countries with limited infrastructure. Now, with the push notifications, this is not just an engagement tool, but a reminder tool. So you can look at this as reducing costs and lost time by preventing course failures because of that engagement and the reminder to complete items, but also to perhaps remind people that they're booked on a seminar event tomorrow. And most importantly, ensuring the health and safety of staff. So if something changes or they need to learn a new process or something has changed, that can be pushed to them. A notification on that requirement can be pushed to them on the Totara mobile. And if we're honest, the app is often just a tick box requirement in RFPs. The amount of traffic across mobile devices is fairly low in comparison to people accessing it through laptop and PC. But we still need to accommodate those as the organisation, which is why it often sits there in an RFP. Now, the mobile is a fantastic tool, and I would encourage you, if you haven't done so already, to watch Chloe's demo video in the community. Iris might be kind enough to post a link to that now. And of course, we've got a mobile course in the Academy, which doesn't just talk about how to use and set up the app, but the kind of applications and things like developing a mobile learning strategy. So I do encourage you to have a look at that if you haven't done so already. Any questions on that, Iris?
Yes, there was one question around the mobile app, whether it's configured for organizations who have single sign-on as well.
Oh yeah, it actually is pretty smart around that. So you've got 3 different options in terms of authentication. You can use the mobile native or the browser. There's 3 different options, but it will accommodate if you are using an external single sign-on tool. Full instructions on that are across the help documentation, but yeah, is again the very short answer, but I give the long answer instead.
And can the app be themed? Can
it be themed? Yep, it sure can. Yep. Great. So once you enter in the URL, then you can, the user is taken to your branded site or the branded site. And so, yeah, you can brand that. There's some UI-based branding that you can apply, much like the site level brand or the tenant brand.
And the theme can be applied to different tenants?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Oh, you caught me taking a sip of tea.
Sorry.
Yeah, they can. So within multi-tenancy, you can go into the appearance settings and set the colors and imagery, so the logo and stuff for different tenants. There's full instructions on how to do that across the help documentation. And if you miss the sound of my voice, then you can go back into that course, the demo course from the Q&A, and I do a session in there or recording in there about multi-tenancy and show that in that recording. So after this, if you haven't had enough of my accents, then you can go in and watch that and see the kind of changes you can make through theme branding.
Right. There was also a question around how can we get the existing courses with e-learning content to be enabled in the app?
Well, that is where I would point you very much to their Academy course, because that discusses that in terms of your strategy. Now all courses are going to be mobile friendly by default. You may need to make some tweaks and changes for it to be properly rendered across your mobile device. So very much encourage you to have a look at that course because we discussed that specifically.
Wonderful. And then there was one more question around which activities are maybe not yet supported on mobile app.
Well, all of them are supported. Some of them aren't as easy to use on a small screen, but of course we've got offline support, SCORM player within the mobile app, but everything else can be used as usual within the app. But noting, like I say, checking out that course, because there are some activities that lend themselves better and worse to small screens and the app, particularly around content. So things like tables, no thank you. And there's different, editing options that you might want to include. But a note with the mobile app, you can mark a course as being mobile friendly, and that can then appear to users. So you can pick and choose.
Great.
Okay, have we got any more questions on mobile? Can we?
We've got a few more, but maybe we should move on and address some of them at the end. Go for it.
That'd be wicked. Thank you. Alrighty, so moving on to the report builder improvements. I've got some pretty screenshots here to flash through just to back up my next couple of slides and my next claims. Here's a dashboard pretty much selling the report builder improvements for me. I could probably get away with just showing this because I think it looks great, but I won't. I'll go through it. So the report builder, we know this is an immensely powerful tool, but it can be, because of that, a little intimidating to end users. So as we've just seen, in the updates across version 13 provides a much more accessible and appealing interface for viewing and creating reports. So this will appeal particularly to those organizations that are perhaps initially more influenced by the visuals of a system over the features of the system. It's an impressive thing to look at to start with, but it's also really functional. So the new interface, particularly for creating new reports, does reduce those barriers for non-technical staff, kind of reduces that scare factor when you see a big long list of items. And the new graphing library offers a more modern look and feel and colors to the graphs, and the new graph types provide kind of quick and better visuals of progress and basic statistics. So things like the progress donuts, which we saw in the screenshots a moment before, can very much indicate where people are at, or where a certification is very, very quickly. And with the new report templates option, and partners can create their own report template, it creates a new revenue option, or maybe an opportunity to streamline implementations through report quick create. Set myself up for failure there. Quick create. So you can create these new templates if you're finding that you're having to create a new report every time you do an implementation. You can create it as a template and then reuse that and speed up your implementations. Or if you might have a customer with a particular requirement, you can set that up as a template so they can reuse and they can adjust it as required. Much like you can create multi-source reports now, you can create report templates. Anything on the report builder there, Iris?
A question around, what about clients who have upwards of 100 plus reports sources that they're trying to sort through? Tyler could see that dashboard's becoming a bit overwhelming. Can you switch back to the list view?
You sure can. I would say though that you have an option. I'm just switching over to my live site here, in case you're wondering why your screen's going bonkers, that you, even if you have 100 reports, you can set the default before you get a load more button here. I haven't hit that. I think it's probably at 40, but you can configure this display so you get a load more option. So even if there are lots, you're not going to see lots on screen. And you can always flick back to this list view as well, if you so wish, which is a little softer on the eyes if you've got a lot happening. In terms of creating new reports, same, you can see the load more functionality here, and then you can extend down. So hopefully it won't be too overwhelming. And given we've clustered the report sources together and it's now filterable, you can really quickly reduce from many to one with a single click, or none, because I don't have engage on the site. There we go. So you can do it. So hopefully it won't be too overwhelming for folks with 100 reports, which is a pretty terrifying number, I might add. So hopefully not many people have that problem.
Maybe one more question on that, whether you can search the display and or whether you can add any filters to it.
Yeah, well, these filters are default. You could make changes at the code level to add new filters. I suppose, I'm not sure what you would potentially filter on, but noting that these filters, you can have multiple filters, and you can remove these filters. You can also very quickly search for a particular report source. And noting that when you expand it out, much like the catalogue is now, this will open up a little bit more detail and show you things like the default columns. And you're welcome to make changes to things like the language pack and the defaults to provide a little bit more information to customers about what each of these reports might do or provide.
Okay. And a final question on there. Is there a potential for Power BI integration for the future?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Yeah, we can get back to that later, no problem.
Okay.
I'll have a look into it.
Okay, yeah, I'll get back to you on that once we're at. Okay, next. So again, I'm going to throw some pretty screenshots at you guys to ooh and ah at. Even though you're muted, in my mind, you're all being incredibly impressed by what you're seeing on screen here. And this isn't just to break up the text. I want to show you some of the updates that we've made to the seminar tool, given that it's a powerful way to manage offline and virtual events. So we've made some significant changes to the seminar management tool. And it's not just an improved interface, there's some new functionality, which is exciting, and some updates to the reporting. And it's a lot to go through. So again, I encourage you to look at the demo, which I cover the big points, but there's still more that I haven't covered across that demo, lots of little bits here and there, specifically around reporting, which didn't make the cut because I was already at something like 20 minutes from my demo. But hopefully you'll be delighted as each of these pop up. They only make the interface easier and the reporting better. There's no nasty surprises. So we just saw a more accessible and appealing interface for seminar, both from an administrator and trainer point of view, as well as for the end user. And some of the new functionality opens up a number of new training models and options that you can sell to your customers or use with your existing customers. So things like the session level attendance tracking not only offers better tracking across multiple sessions, and people don't have to remember to mark training at the end of a month, but means new training models can be supported. So for example, you might have a model related to continuous professional development where an individual needs to attend 3 sessions a month or 12 sessions a year, and you can track all of those drop-ins or attendance across a period of time. You can also do things that are maybe split sessions. So maybe the morning is theory and the afternoon is a practical session, and an individual needs to attend both, but doesn't have to be on the same day, so that perhaps they're not away from their desk for a full day. They can split that across 2 days. And in a similar sort of manner, you could maybe have a basic and advanced session in the morning and the afternoon. So maybe there's a basic health and safety session in the morning, and then part of your team drop off, go back to work, and then the people that are maybe health and safety officers stay for the second half, where the more advanced functional or advanced training may be held. Now we also have the ability to separate grade from attendance across the seminar tool. And this means that organizations can include engagement, collaboration, communication, contribution measures, not just attendance when providing a grade. So an individual may sit in an event or sit on the Zoom call for the full hour, but they may be completely disengaged. And so this can capture that and can account for that and make people aware that their engagement counts towards their grade. And there is of course the join now button, which we saw on the screenshots a moment ago. So there is that quick link for webinar software. So it's created in the room functionality, the room element, and 15 minutes before the session is due to run, that join now button appears for anyone booked on the session, as well as trainers and administrators and any facilitators that are associated with the event. So users can jump straight to the predefined link. So for example, today, you would have clicked on the join now and jumped into this session. And of course, with the ability to upload attendance via CSV, we can accommodate large events, which at the moment predominantly online. Eventually, we obviously hope that will change soon. But what that means is that you can accommodate users that perhaps there is a large conference or an online event. You can upload attendance into the system and then accommodate access to post-training or post-event software. So maybe that's completing a feedback activity, so a survey or evaluation. It might be issuing a badge, or maybe it's forum discussion, or any other conditional access to an activity or another course that you so wish to accommodate. Anything on seminar there, Iris?
Yeah, 2 questions. Ian is asking, can the virtual room URL be sent out in the seminar notifications?
Yeah, it's a placeholder, yeah.
Great. Yeah. And Evan is asking, once marking attendance, how will the trainer be able to insert the grade?
I think my previous slide showed it. Yeah, so yeah, so you can adjust this in the gradebook if you so wish, but if you choose to turn on manual grading, then in the take attendance section, you have this grade field. I'm so glad I included this screenshot down here, and you can just enter that. And when you create the seminar event, you set the maximum grade. So you've got a point of reference for what grade to enter there. Right, how are we going for time, Iris? What am I doing? Okay, moving along.
Yeah, I've got about 10-15 minutes left.
Okay, all right, speeding up. So next is the new dynamic audience rules. So we've got 11 new audience rules, which provides even more targeted access to learning items to ensure users get the right learning at the right time. There are things like the historic course completion rule, which adds some great smarts around courses completed within a certification. And there's a number of new rules focused around people that are managers and temporary managers who have direct reports and indirect reports. So there's a lot of support for individuals that maybe unexpectedly become part of a reporting line and start to have staff. So you can very quickly accommodate some training, some just-in-time training to them due to suddenly becoming a temporary manager, or maybe moving up the ranks and having indirect reports instead. And the functionality, the new rule course enrollment and course assignment rules has some really exciting options when you pair it with audiences and the featured learning tiles. So you have the featured learning blocks, and then within tiles, and these are featured learning blocks at the front page or in courses or on the profile page, as we'll see in a moment, means that you can, when you combine all of those things together, actually provide some basic recommendations to learners. So you can say, you've enrolled in this, but not in this. So I say, have you considered enrolling in this data protection course? Or you're assigned to this program. Maybe the next thing that you study is this program after you've completed that. So you can combine all of those things, and the new audience rules can make even further distinctions across those recommendations. So that's, within courses, of course, you can use the restrict access functionality alongside those new audience rules. Again, sort of that adaptive learning idea to provide them different activities or different labels, which again could provide course recommendations or program recommendations or next step recommendations using that same audience rules. I'm going to go ahead and assume there's no questions on audiences.
Sorry, for recommended learning, is that able to be tied to job assignments or search history as well?
Not within Totara Learn. There's, of course, the machine learning based recommendations across Engage, which I'll be talking about on Wednesday. But the audience rules, if you can build an audience rule to say that they have or have not done something or completed something, then you can create that featured links. On job assignment, yeah, that's a existing dynamic audience rule. So yep, you could do a recommendation based on that. And remember, these stack, so there's a combination. So is enrolled in that, has this role, hasn't done this, authenticates this way. You've got lots of options. Again, across that extended enterprise solution, you can have different recommendations based on whether they're internal or external staff, based on how they authenticate into the system. We're good to move on, Iris?
Yeah, please
continue. Right, so open badges, personal favorite of mine. We've introduced the 2.0 standard, and there's some new functionality which has some exciting selling points here. So for example, the endorsements functionality, if you've got an internal site, it can provide subject matter experts and mentors and experts in the field the ability to endorse those badges. So, it means that they acknowledge that that training is good. And you also acknowledge that they are subject matter experts as well. So it's very much a win-win situation from an internal point of view. But because these endorsements aren't restricted to this, you can also have endorsements by external bodies. So you might have an award body or an external organization that you might partner with, so that you have an endorsement on a badge, which perhaps you co-brand, which ultimately increases the value of the badge, and therefore the visibility of the badge is there shared by awardees. And with multi-language options, the badges now can be issued in people's preferred languages, ensuring greater engagement with it's just rather than just English-based badges for an English site, you can accommodate multiple languages. And with the new backpack functionality, you have the flexibility to choose which backpack service you wish to connect to, which could be your own internal service or another service which you share with another organization, entirely up to you. So moving on to the catalogue, there's some really nice little changes that collectively create some really exciting opportunities across the catalogue. So with the ability to add header and footer blocks on the catalogue page, we can now include dynamic elements within that catalogue. And what I mean by that, and here is one I have prepared earlier. Oops. So I've got a basic featured links block here on this page, and it's just rotating every couple of seconds, and you can see here I'm promoting particular items. I've got links to various items. It might be static, it might be dynamic like this, but it means you can provide recommendations, you can promote different things, entirely up to you. And it just makes that page a little nicer to look at as well. Not that there was any problems with it, but you could maybe have even a static HTML block there and just make the page more aesthetically appealing. And there's a streamlined access to learning items across the course catalogue as well. So not only can users set the homepage as their default or as their homepage, you can set that as the default across the site. And so they can jump straight to the catalogue. You can also remove the details step. So when you go into a course, you can jump straight into it if you've got access to view it, or if you don't have access or need to enroll in it, you'll be prompted to the enroll page, but you can switch off the details view. So when you click on that tile, like we saw with the reports, normally you would have a pop up the details section below, and you can now remove that just with a configuration option under configure catalog. And there's the new evidence bank, and this in terms of navigation would sit under perform, but it's actually available at the site level. And what this allows you to do is create custom upload or capture forms for past and an external learning. And we've made some improvements. It now sits at that site level, so it's not tied to the record of learning. And there's an improved workflow because you can create custom forms for each type of evidence. So you're not expected to upload something if you're describing evidence, and likewise, you are expected to upload something if you're saying you've had external training. So some sort of evidence. So a lot of improvements across the evidence banks, which is small, but add up to a much nicer and more encouraging way to capture all the learning that occurs outside of the learning management system. So there are also a number of improvements across the profile page, and it's not really until you start playing with these that you really understand the power of it. So the profile page, when you view your profile, is now block-based, the layout, which not only means that you can control the look and feel of it, but you can control the permissions about who sees every block that you add. So the permissions frameworks, or all the access rights that you have across the system, apply to all the blocks within the profile page. So if you want to have that a piece of information displayed about a particular individual and only for site administrators or only for staff managers to view it, you can set that within the permissions for each of those blocks. So you've got a very granular control about the information that's displayed to users, which for data protection, privacy, security is really vitally important. And because it's block-based, you have the opportunity to add other design and navigation items across that page. So it can, or has previously been, a bit of a dead end for users. They go to their profile page, and then they have to press back or jump back to the home page. You can, because they've got block-based, use that HTML block, use that featured links block, and encourage that user to continue their learning, to access new areas. You can provide, again, use that combination of audiences and featured links visibility to provide recommendations on that page. And of course, generally, the whole site looks a whole lot better. So the new Ventura theme provides a really nice interface as it stands out of the box, and a great UI for adding simple customizations to the interface. So tweaking the colors, there's a color picker, you can see where those changes are going to be implemented. There's the new branded login page, so you can put your own image along the front page of the login page. So users immediately, as soon as they hit the link to the Learn site, they see recognizable branding, they know the colors, they know they're in the right place, and they know that this is associated with their organization. And we've been working really hard across accessibility improvements across the site. We've got a dedicated accessibility guy in the design team, and he's been working really hard to bring up our accessibility and drive all work as we go through. It's all accessibility driven design. I'll take questions in just a second, Iris. I'm going to finish all this and then take a breath. So of course, one of the major selling points, and perhaps the biggest, is the fact that you have the option of extending Totara Learn with Perform and or Engage. So with the connection to these other products, you can have a Learn and Engage site, for example, where you can offer both formal, informal, social and instructor-led training for the 70-20-10 model. If you combine maybe Learn and Engage, you can manage professional performance and track and assign development across learning items. And the full talent experience platform, you have a social and formal learning environment, development and engagement suite. So a full, a full package there. And of course, you know, ultimately, and we all know this, it's a very cost-effective platform, particularly with the discount models applied to multiple products. So it's very much a strong selling point across all of the products that we're offering in Totara 13. So actually, that's a pretty thing to have on screen while I answer some questions. Iris, fire away.
No, there was just one question around whether HTML emails are available for seminar, program and certification notifications.
There have been no changes to the notifications across any part of the site except for new placeholders to accommodate the new functionality, such as the room link and the fact that you can now have facilitators associated with events.
Wonderful. Continue.
Thank you. All right, we're doing okay. So what I've got here is a checklist, and I'm going to flick through these slides at an alarming rate in just a second. But because you're getting the slides, this is why it's a checklist. This is why I've annoyed the design team by having square bullets instead of circle bullets. These are just my ideas, having played with the system a lot already. These are the kind of steps and things that you will probably want to go through in order to then demo that functionality. So basic things like turning on multi-tenancy to start with and creating multiple tenants and associating user managers, etc. These are the things that you would want to set up when you want to demo into this functionality. So again, don't panic that I'm skipping through these. I just want to show you that I've put them all together. You'll get these slides and you can tick these off to your heart's content afterwards. Now, I want to end on some suggestions on how you might demo this functionality. Now, you're already using, familiar with 12 and demoing it that way, and I don't want to fix what's not broke. But what I'm suggesting here are some thoughts about how you can incorporate some of the new functionality into your demo workflows. And I've taken the approach here by user type. So quite often you would start a demo talking or being logged in as a learner and showing that learner experience. And these are the kind of areas that I suggest you hit on when you're providing a demo. So first off, hitting a dashboard which is personalized for the learner, so they see their alerts and tasks. Maybe they have a particular image, for example. You can highlight the current learning, and that will allow you to show that programs and certifications and complex series of courses can be created, and reminders can be sent to complete things like certifications. You can then move over to the browse catalog and show the searching functionality, the filtering, and how you could jump straight into a course. And then you can talk about the inbuilt activities, etc. So again, I think that these kind of workflows are things that you can look at afterwards rather than me talking all the way through it, because you know a lot of these things already. I've just called out this functionality and some of the new functionality that you can accommodate across these workflows. So manager is the next one, the same sort of thing, hitting on personalization, having a different dashboard for managers. And because of the stuff that you've set up in the learner, you'll have different alerts and tasks. So you'll have to approve a learning plan or a seminar attendance, items like that. And you can show that the catalog view is different because of audience visibility. Moving on to a trainer, looking at the facilitation calendar, noting again, because you can add facilitators as a new element or new option to seminar activities, you can have a dedicated calendar if that individual exists within the system. You can show seminar attendance and grading. And moving on to the administrator, being able to configure their catalog, showing reports, tenants, etc. So before everyone runs off, I'll answer some questions, but I've got a couple of questions for you guys too, and I'd like you to post some responses in the chat if you would indulge me. But Iris, have you got anything for me before I start tennising that back?
There was a question around, about recommended net course programs under the topic audience. If you could repeat that, because it was a bit missed.
The what, sorry?
The recommended net course / programs under the topic of audiences.
Oh, okay. So it is a little bit of setup. So what you want to do is create an audience, and that, or multiple audiences, and you can use the new audience rules around course enrollment and program assignment to build these audiences. So you might have someone that has completed course A and course B, but not course C, for example. That could be an audience. And then you can create a featured links block or add a featured links block to the front page or the user profile page or a course. Add an image, and then once you've added that image or that tile to that featured links block, you can set the visibility of that tile based on audience. So you can say everyone who meets this audience criteria, they're the only ones that can see that tile. So remembering that that audience rule was have completed an A and B, but not C, then that featured links tile would say, have you considered completing course C, or wondering what to do next, try course C. So you can use, this is a very basic example, but you can use these audience rules around what a user has or has not done already to provide them specific recommendations using audience-based visibility on featured links, blocks and tiles.
And then there was one question around if it's okay to go back to the mobile app theme. Does the mobile app theme respect tenant themes?
I don't know the answer to that. I would hope that it would, but I've not tried that. So let me get back to you on that one, please.
Yeah. And a general question, whether a more general question, is a bot included within Totara Learn?
A bot, B-O-T.
Yeah.
It is included within Totara Engage and the Microsoft Teams integration. That's where our bot exists, but not within Learn.
Great. And then around mobile app again, like Totara Learn Moodle, is Totara mobile app release also somehow linked with the Moodle mobile release?
In no way are they related. And in fact, back in version 11, I think it was, we removed the API to the Moodle mobile app, and there's some discussion on that, or some explanation about why we did that across the technical documentation, the developer docs. But no, they're completely separate. They were developed in complete isolation, and we have a dedicated mobile team here at Totara, which will progress it. So you'll see some exciting updates to it across the next, well, however long